Hi, this is Steve Butler again. I'm going to do a quick video on how we connect a person we identified as part of the Zodiac, Albert Lee Terry Jr., with the Cheri Jo Bates murder in Riverside, and how we can show you that there is some correlation. In other words, we can't prove that he killed her, but there is evidence in the case that we can attribute to him. And I'll show you exactly how that is. So if you go to Zodiac Killer Facts, says right here, shown together for the first time the three handwritten letters sent to the Riverside Police Department, the Riverside Press Enterprise, and Cheri Jo's father, Joseph Bates. So these are three letters that said um, Bates had to die and there will be more. And then there was a signature bottom, this little Z at the bottom. Okay. So let me close that. Well, actually, let me just bring it down. Little Z at the bottom. So I took the little Z out. Here it is right here, right? We're going to go to our Albert Lee file so you can see the letter. Bates had to die. There will be more. Let me zoom in on that. Let me raise that up. And then see this little squiggly line with the Z at the bottom. So a lot of people thought that this meant that the Zodiac had something to do with the Bates murder. Now, this doesn't prove that he killed her, but it does show that they were aware and they got involved in it with these three letters, and that definitely mimics the zodiac pattern when we come to the Z408 and the Z340. It was the same type of thing. They might have been testing the media for that, or as I believe he was, and they were involved in the Cheri Bates murder. Now, remember, we tell you that Albert Lee embeds images. So this is a zodiac communication. See the pictures, the people. This actually, when it's not blown up, looks like a smudge on a letter. That's all it looks like. Let's see if I can find that. Oh, yeah, here it is. So see that smudge right there? So this is the Zodiac speaking. I'm the murder of the taxi driver over by Washington and Maple. And it looks like a fingerprint, right? That fingerprint blows up to this. We think this is Albert Lee right here with the ace of spades over his head. See these images, the people, the nose, the girl, everything right here? Watch this. So the signature on the Cheri Jo Bates letter. So again, these are the three original letters. They were given special access. They're in plastic. And they were able to take a picture directly from the original letters. All right. I downloaded that picture. And as Zodiacs always do, you just gotta turn them around. So I flipped it this way. I flipped it upside down. They always seem to make stuff upside down. And then I'm going to blow it up. Watch this. There you go. There's like the little mermaid right here, the girl. There's something here, here. You can see more images. I got a little too big, right? See, there's something here, some kind of person here. There's like an arm stretched out there. Weird little face there. That's Albert Lee Terry Jr.'s signature work. Taking a letter like this squiggly line and the Z and embedding images in there. So I just flip it around right side up. I never haven't checked it on Zoom like that, but they usually have to go upside down to really see their best work or his best work. There's the image there, but again, okay, so let's zoom sideways. So you can see images here. There's a person right there. There's a face right here. There's a mouth, eyes, nose. There's another face. So there's a nose, mouth. He likes these cartoon characters. All this is in that signature. And again, this is it upside down. Definitely see the figure there. Definitely see the figure there. There are faces here that are hard to distinguish, right? But these are more images. Sometimes he actually puts photographs in there. He just doesn't develop them all the way. He turns the paper into a negative using a technique from the 1800s where you can treat regular paper with a salt solution so that it actually will accept light and turn into an undeveloped negative. So there's stuff there. So if they have fingerprints off of these letters, or DNA off of these three letters, it most likely will match up with Albert Lee Terry Jr., who faked his death in 1971 but is still alive and may have gotten into the newly formed Witness Protection Program in 1971. But I doubt if they gave him immunity because they didn't want his testimony, they wanted his silence. And if they wanted him to keep silence, giving him immunity would not have been the case. And he doesn't seem to be too silent these days. There you go. Albert Lee Terry Jr. Bates letters are connected. So in that way, the Zodiac is connected to this case. We think it's even more than that, though, based on some other evidence.